right, g'day, hi, and welcome. Okay, ugly trucks make money. Pretty trucks do not make money. Now, the statement I'm making here is a bold one, sure, and it's hyperbolic, of course. You can buy a brand new truck and make oodles and oodles of money with that truck. There's no doubt about that. But if you pay 40, 60, 80,000, 120,000 bucks for a new truck, depending on what it is, and you know, trucks are expensive, they're going to start, I mean, the cheapest trucks are probably going to be your work truck models, and they're still going to start at 25, 30, 40,000 bucks, you know, depending on what features you have them. Like base models are still 30 grand, you know what I mean? By the time you get the taxes and everything, 30, 40,000 bucks is the buy-in, right, for the cheapest truck. If you're talking diesel anything, what, 60, 80,000 dollars buy-in rate, average probably 70 something, you're talking a lot of money. So you have to be making hundreds of dollars a day to pay that truck off in a reasonable amount of time. If you're making like 400 bucks a day, you'll pay that truck off, you know, in 1,000 days. That's 3 years. That's just the initial cost. When you start making money with it, well, you still got the operational costs on top of that, tires, all that stuff, gas, oil changes, maintenance, repairs. So it takes a long time to recoup that money. It really does. That said, in exchange, you get, you know, newer vehicles are pretty much headache free. Leased vehicles, I would never lease a work vehicle because you're going to spend a lot of money on something that is probably already unreliable from people abusing it because it's a lease, right? So you're better off, I think, to own things than it is to lease. Next to new, say a truck that's like 3, 4, 5 years old, that's already lost 25, 30 grand of its market value, and you get for 20 or 30 grand. Well, that truck you could probably pay off fairly quickly if you're making the money. I don't make that kind of money to pay off a truck like that quickly. My buddy does. My buddy, I won't tell you what his finances are, but I mean, he makes money with that truck like you wouldn't believe. And it's like 2 or 3 years old, and he got it, I think he got the truck for about 25 all in. Not bad, right? But he's going to recoup it in a couple of years pretty quickly. You know what I mean? And he's like, the truck sort of makes profit right away, but you know, until you're not doing payments on something, you're not making profit. You're still paying into it, right? Where guys like me buy the $500 Wonder trucks, which make profit right away. It's just, how long is it going to last, right? That is always the question for us. That said, the guys that can buy a $500 truck, put 2,500 bucks into it, and make it last 15 years, make a shit ton of money because they know how to do it. They got the shop to work on it. My buddy Derek's like that. He's still driving around that beast of a Dodge, that 1998 3500 Ram with the twin turbo 24 valve Cummins diesel. 5-speed transmission. That thing is a beast. I got to drive it. 600-700 horsepower, whatever he's got it hopped up to. It's not stock, and he works that truck to death, and it's his baby. Now, he got that truck, I don't know for how much, but he pretty much brought it back to life. And I don't know what he's got into it, but it doesn't matter because he makes good enough money to justify that truck, no problem. So when you're getting a work truck, you need something reliable. So if you're going to buy like a little Datsun 4-cylinder and work it like a V8, it's probably not going to last as long as you think, but you're going to probably be more impressed than you think. You're going to buy those little Tacomas, little V6 Tacoma or something like that. You know, yeah, they're going to last. Ford Ranger, I think B40s and Ford Rangers are probably the best truck choice in the mid truck, you know, like the light, you know, half-ton truck category, just because there's so many parts available and they're so cheap, and they're not that much cheaper to run on gas. They get marginally better mileage. You know, like this gets 15, 16 miles to the gallon. My dad's B40 might get 20 to 22 miles to the gallon. I know there's some trucks out there that might get 25 or 30, depending on how you drive them. But what I'm saying is that if you're getting a full-size truck, V8 stuff, gas or diesel, the cost is going to be a little bit higher. But if you can keep the cost cheap enough, let's say you buy a truck for $4,500, not too bad. Say the tires are about half worn or quarter worn, the brakes are pretty good, maybe half to 3/4 still good, and you're going to get another couple of years, out of the brakes and the calipers and all that stuff. The engine's not runs, might be a little lower on compression, but starts every time, pulls like a freight train. The transmission's okay. You're dealing with some high mileage, whatever. You maintain that thing, you'll make that money back within the year, and every year after is just gravy. So if you get 5, 6, 7, 8 years out of it with the maintenance, that truck is just going to make you so much money. And that's why. But what if you want something newer? It's like, dude, the job I do, I have to have like bulletproof reliability. I need something newer. Well, this is where you go looking for ugly, and this is what I'm doing. 2 trucks, same year, same condition, 07 Power Stroke diesels, right? Dualies. One, $35,000 still, right? Immaculate condition. The other one, everything on it, pretty much really good. 15,000. Why? Because somebody, bashed the tailgate a bit. There's a little bit of a dent on the side. No rust yet. Vehicle's fine, just cosmetically, it got a bit fugly. But a work truck doesn't have to be pretty. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole kicker. Like, if you buy pretty, you're going to pay for pretty, right? There's some people have to have pretty because that's just the way they are. And if they got the money for that, that's great. But you could find a sweet deal on some trucks, little to no rust on them, just a bit banged up. Like some of these fleet trucks, yeah, you got to be able to check them out and see what's what, and make sure that they're going to be good enough for you and reliable enough. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, you're getting 10 grand off because it's fugly. You know what I mean? Like, take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. You got to hunt around. The guy that has the shop to take the truck that's fairly new, oh, it's got a blown head gasket. Okay, if you can change a head gasket yourself, yeah, it's a pain in the ass to do, but maybe you get the truck, a $30,000 truck for 4 grand. You'd be surprised if you just do, every time you see a deal that's too good to be true, and the guy's forthcoming enough to tell you, oh, okay, the transmission's done. Well, hunt around for a transmission. You know what I mean? Hunt around for an engine. I found an 04 Dodge with no engine and transmission in it, and everything else there with no rust. 2 grand for the body and everything else. All I got to do is take the engine out of my other Dodge and plop it in there, and then do the paperwork, right? Retitle it or whatever. But basically, it's like, that's what you want. You know what I mean? Match a truck with a bad body and a good engine and transmission to a truck with a bad engine and transmission to a good body. You know what I mean? That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Now, it costs money, it takes time, but you can get a lot of truck for half the price, a quarter of the price, whatever. But but you can do that if you have to go the pretty route. The other thing is swap meet specials. Hunt the car graveyards. Like, again, I found 15 donors for this truck sitting in the scrapyard. I might be able to keep this truck running for 20 years if I could figure out what I need to go cannibalize. A lot of times with older trucks, or like what happened to my van, for example, is every part that I needed was worn out on all the other donor vehicles too. Like, my buddy wanted to sell me his, but everything I needed for that van was already what the other, like, they all needed the same thing. So you won't win there, but some trucks you might, because there's enough of them. And the Ford F-150 being such a popular truck, I think it's the #1 selling full-size pickup truck for like 42 years straight. That's got to tell you something. And possibly the #1 vehicle sold in the U.S. So new anyway. So that tells you something. There's a lot to pick from. But anyway, I thought it was just interesting. Yeah, the newer trucks takes you a long time to recoup that money. So if you're making $500 a day, $1,000 a day, then yeah, you're going to recoup a new truck's value pretty and the maintenance costs very quickly. If not, if you're like me, you know, I don't make that kind of money. I wish I did, but some days I do well. You know what I mean? So my $500 truck, it recoups itself very quickly. You know, so whenever it does die, it owes me nothing. So I use that money to get the other truck ready. So when it dies, I got the other truck. But I don't want to just be paying for truck after truck after truck and never make any money, because there's other things I want in life too, right? So snowmobiles, dirt bikes, motorbikes, race cars, you name it. I want that stuff too, right? So is what it is. That's just my take. So pretty trucks don't make money as quickly as ugly trucks. There you go. Have a nice day.